So hello Tim Farron, thank you very much for coming in the Mini just 48 hours before the Lib Dem leader is announced. Now if the book is to be believed and the grassroots polls to be believed, that you are going to succeed Nick Clegg as leader of the party. If that's the case, what will be the first thing you do on Friday?
On Friday, we will have known by some time by then, so I guess a lot of the stuff will be done on Thursday itself. A lot of people to say thank you to, first of all. But I think a lot of it is organisational, and a lot of it is about us making sure we get our message across in a very clear way. Organisationally, for the Liberal Democrats, the leader's office has traditionally been in Westminster, in the Houses of Parliament. Frankly, it shouldn't be, so the leader's office will, if it's me, move over to HQ, because we can't afford different centres of power. We need to be working very closely together as we rebuild the movement. But that is all part and parcel of trying to make sure we communicate a very simple message. So amongst the things that we'll be doing very quickly is getting across a message which is not nuanced, but is all about challenging this government on the things that it's doing and providing more hopeful, more colourful, more exciting alternatives.
If you're successful in the leadership contest, by what metric would we judge it successful? You know, how many MPs would you like to see in 2020? What is going to be, because you've talked about turning the party in less into a traditional political party, more of a campaign force. How do you say if that's been good or bad?
Well, it's a good question, and for my part, I think I'm not planning to tell you what numbers of MPs we may consider to be a passable result.
Well, more than 8.
More than 8, I think, is a reasonable assessment. But I think a lot more than 8. But I think any more than that would be foolish of me. Not least if we've got boundary changes, we don't quite know what we're playing with. I certainly think my job is to take us out of the doldrums in terms of polls, out of single figures, into double figures, into the teams, and to create a platform out there by people knowing who we are, having a real sense of on whose side we are, what our purpose is, into that position where we're on double figures, teens, high teens, maybe higher, in terms of percentage points for the party. That's all about establishing a purpose for us. Why should people give us a second glance? Why should they vote for us? And then obviously in the first past the post, that entails us then campaigning on the ground to turn that 18-19% of the vote that we might get into 40, 45, 50% of the vote in particular areas, so we can win elections.
What would you do differently to leader as Nick Clegg?
Well, I think I'm in a totally different landscape to Nick, so anything that I do is bound to be based upon my personal characteristics and my ambitions for the party, but also the place we find ourselves. And so I think Nick had led us immensely well from his point onwards in late 2007 through that quite remarkable and heady period in government. Obviously, he has now stepped down into a different situation. I will inherit if I become leader, and I suppose my job is to be a campaigning leader, is to be somebody who takes advantage, if you like, of our reduced situation. There are not many advantages to being down to 8, but actually it means that the leader can slum it. The leader can not have to worry about being seen at every single parliamentary function and event.
Let's go on to values, which is another thing that's been a difference between you and Norman Lamb. So one of the things that he said that caused some controversy was about saying there should be a lesbian couple on Peppa Pig, and when he was in the Mini, he said to me it's because people get this sense of attraction to the same of someone of your same sex at a very young age. Do you agree with him on that?
I think it's I'm against politicians meddling in the media. And so I understand the point he's trying to make, but I think that we ought to be really, really careful giving advice to people in the TV programmes and within the children's programmes, like the Newsnight. I mean, we're going to have a big battle in this parliament to defend the independence of the BBC, for example. I understand the point he's making about trying to tackle homophobia early on, and that's clearly a really important thing, but it's also important that we, as politicians, don't go
Well, on the topic of same-sex marriage, which is, again, I'm sure will cause some disruption between the two, with people talking about your respective voting records and that sort of thing. And I put this question to him and I put it to you. Obviously, you both have liberal values, like you would be a Liberal Democrat. But do you think there's any contradiction in someone having strong Christian values and also leading a Liberal Party?
No, not at all. I mean, we wouldn't be a Liberal Party if we thought that somebody who was of faith couldn't be in it, couldn't lead it. I think that when Charles Kennedy, different denomination to me, but he's Roman Catholic, served as our leader, our most successful leader actually, for 7 years, and throughout that time managed to get the balance right. You know, Christianity, faith in general, it isn't an entirely private thing, but you have no right, I don't think I have any right, as one of the reasons I'm a liberal, to impose my faith and my values on others. Obviously I live by them, I try to, but Charles was a great example of how you don't ram things down people's throat, and yet you do attempt to live those values in your day-to-day personal life.
And for the members of the public who haven't been following this contest, have no idea who you are,
Right.
There's a lot of people, and on Friday morning, Thursday, they discover you're the new leader of the Liberal Democrats. What's your message to those people? What's the point of view and what's the point of the Liberal Democrats?
Well, I want to make sure that the Democrats are a party that people are of the view that they can vote for again, and understand that we're the party that defends liberal values in a country that desperately needs defending. And I want to build that kind of genuine liberal movement that tackles nationalism wherever it is, nationalism in Scotland, nationalism from UKIP, nationalism across other parts of Europe. That's the kind of party I want us to be, and frankly, you know, we're in a situation where we got annihilated on May the 7th, yet our membership has gone up by 30%. There are thousands of people out there who are liberals in here who have chosen people to live Democrats in practice. And my job is, as I said, to turn that phenomenon into a movement. Viewers, listeners, readers, join the movement.